viewed myself and what I'm unlearning in adulthood. And so she talks about women are the mantle. It's your mother's critical voice of what you're wearing, or your grandmother's. It's your mother's critical voice of what you weigh and how you contribute and how you should be submissive. How when you've been loud, it's a woman that's probably chastised you for it. Very interesting, because it's the misogyny, but it's also women who are perpetuating it. Very, very interesting. And then she had a moment where she asked people to talk about how they're viewing the webinar. And one of the women, what she said was really interesting. So she basically talks about how in her younger years she experimented sexually, as you do, and how she's found that she regrets a lot of that. She feels a lot of shame around that. And how basically she's noticed a pattern where she will engage quite quickly in sexual relations with people. The physicality will happen soon, and she regrets doing that. She regrets being vulnerable and open and putting herself out there, and it usually hurts her. And I think that's a really common theme with women, because we've learnt, particularly you might have been conditioned to believe like that you perform more of the whore than the Madonna identity. Like, men find you desirable, this works, this gets you validation and attention, so you bring that personality forward first, but then you're not meeting your feminine needs. The interaction's happening, the man's categorized you as, okay, that was whore, that was done, and you're kind of left like, oh, I wanted more, but you've projected what they wanted, you've given them what they wanted. Another lady talking about how she had early sexual experience she regrets. Women have a lot of shame around sex, because it's this polarity between you need to be virginal and be the Madonna, but you also need to be good at sex and know what's going on, but not too sexual. So you're flitting between those two identities. So when you identify with the whore identity and you are promiscuous, then you get the shame that you should have been the virgin. So we have a really warped psyche as a woman around our sexuality. And so a lot more women have shame around sex and after engaging with sex than they commonly talk about. But it was really interesting for women of different generations to talk about that, how women can't feel sexually liberated because there is that judgment. A man can sleep with as many people as they want, and they don't really reflect on their sexual experiences, whereas women are shamed for them. This whole modern day concept of women's body count, their sexual partners, and how attractive that makes them, and whether you'd marry a woman who has this many body count or whatever, it's very apparent that there's a judgment on women's sexual expression that is just not there with men, and that is infiltrated deep. So that was really, really interesting to me. And then she did this really like intense exercise at the end where she made you basically write down 3 things, qualities of a woman's sexuality that you find like repugnant or you judge. For example, slut shaming, like if a woman wears slutty clothing, you don't like that. Or if a woman talks about sexual partners, you don't like that. So you wrote 3 of those down, and then you wrote 3 qualities of someone, anyone, male or female, that you don't like, that really annoy you. And then she wanted you at the end of that exercise to put I am in front of it as if it was you, and see how that felt in your body, whether that was triggering. Because these are things that you've written down that you really don't like, and you really don't like in other people. And she's saying that sometimes what happens with the shadow is they're the things that you've repressed in yourself so much. So the reason it's triggering when you put I am in front of it is because you wouldn't dream of doing it, but maybe that's a part of you that's repressed. Maybe it's okay to be arrogant sometimes if you have an aversion to anybody that's arrogant. Maybe it's because a part of you wishes you could be more like that. Or if you don't like a woman because she's very sexually expressive, is it because you're very sexually repressed and you don't want to talk about your sexuality at all? Is it something you're hiding away? So yeah, it was really, really interesting. But I think as a woman, it is really important. She had some journal prompts at the end. I think it's really important to start reflecting on the ways in which we're internalizing things, and to question and take a pause. When you see a woman in the street and you go, oh, that skirt's a bit short, like, oh, did you know blah 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 slept with blah blah after like 2 dates? Whatever it is, when something like that comes into your head, you go, whoa, hang on a minute, where is this coming from? And do I really feel that way? Is it really my business what that person's doing? Aren't they allowed to express themselves as they want? Why are we doing that? And also try and be more reflective about yourself. I'm trying desperately. I have this lens of I view my body through a patriarchal lens and a misogynistic lens constantly, and it's not up to par through that lens. And I'm trying desperately now to be like, the body in its lumpy, dumpy, flappy self is a beautiful thing. And even when it triggers the fuck out of me, I want to represent a normal body. I don't want to filter and hide my body on this platform, because it's really important to understand that we don't all look like a size A. Our body fluctuates, we have hormones. Like, I was thinking about it, I'll leave on this note, but I was thinking about the other day how women literally go through cycles every month that is incredibly painful and uncomfortable, and we live in a society where we repress that. So I have to go about my day as a woman, which I've done since I've had a period. It's not a big deal. Some people have excruciating periods. I understand. But you go through your life, you have a period, people are bombarding you with stuff, you're feeling mass discomfort, sometimes incredible pain, and you just go about your day, because you're not allowed to say to people, oh, by the way, I have severe cramps that are literally taking over, I've got really banging headache, I feel like a balloon, I'm walking like a balloon, but I'm still expected to perform in this area of my life, be a mom, work. We can't talk to men about how literally I'm bleeding, because it makes them uncomfortable, and we just don't do it. But that is what she's talking about, Marnie, when she talks about the shadow side. The things that we've been told from a young age you are not allowed to talk about, they go in the shadow. But sometimes bringing them out and saying, well, why have I repressed this? What does this serve or not serve? Like, as I've got older, I don't feel embarrassed to say I'm on my period. Sometimes you will get men that will say, well, love, no, or like, you know, family members. And I think, no, I have to go through it, and I don't care that you have a slight discomfort about hearing about it. But, you know, at 16, I'd have never dared say it. And I remember living in a house with men, living in a house with my father, things like having water infections and periods, and you just could not talk about it, you know. And as women, like, sanitary products, it's become a lot more open now, but you have to hide them in your bag, and you'd have to strategize. How do I go to the toilet without somebody knowing that I need to take a pad or a tampon with me? Or swimming when you're on your period. There's all these different things, but like, as a woman, you've always had to suppress what is a normal human cycle. So yeah, I know that's probably a bit of a strange way to end this video, but I just think it's really important as women to consider the ways that we repress who we are, and we perpetuate the things that are not important. When you're looking at other women, is that your internal voice, or is it somebody else's? And if it's somebody else's, can you start to let go of it? Can you let your belly hang out when you're with family and friends without being worried, is someone going to take my picture? Is it looking a bad angle? How can we let go of something bit by bit? And she says it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's the little ways that we can challenge it, small ways in our world, that make a difference. And one thing she did explain is that when you dismantle internalized misogyny, it doesn't mean misogyny is not going to still be there, but it just means you stop internalizing it, so you stop being bothered. So for example, if you decide to go out and not wear a bra and someone makes a comment, you don't take that comment personally, because you're working through the fact that the fact it's triggering them is more of an issue for them than it is for you. Whereas when you're internalizing it, that's where you would tell yourself you have to cover up, you're not allowed to be seen. It's women that have to hide when they breastfeed. There has to be a separate place. They're not allowed to do it in public because it offends men. Like, these things, it's starting to think about them and question them a bit more.